Okay.
It always feels weird when you're holding a smile.
Mm-mm.
Like, it doesn't feel sincere.
Follow the man. Follow the
You have to
man.
hold it. Show is starting in a few minutes. Microphone is moving. So this is a recorded live stream. If you're watching right now, we'll start in a few minutes. But please do send in comments so we know you're there. If you're watching in the future, then this was recorded much earlier. So it's a recorded live stream. Feel free to jump forward to the start of the show or just watch us as we manually reshare links. Thank you.
Live stream reminder.
Live stream. Live stream. Excuse me.
I'm lit. I gotten so used because I've been doing OBAR videos. Then automatically I tag location OBAR. And then like,
Mhm.
no, no. This live stream does not need a location tag.
There, I see the link now appearing. Oh, okay, there.
Just waiting for people to join to start the conversation and promoting the fact that we're live right now. So please hold.
Baduy Pride Messenger list sent. Tagging my own friends.
Meanwhile, I will look at today's Kindle book deals. Nothing striking, which is fine because I have a little incremental costs.
Okay,
I see Ina's here. Hello, Ina.
YouTube is running. Hmm, okay, we have some people watching in Facebook and YouTube. I feel like sneezing.
Okay, that was very involved.
Excuse me.
You have one more in you.
I know. Always concentrate. Yeah.
In other news, I have finished uploading all the YouTube videos, all the OBAR videos from last Saturday, which was a lot. Um, I took about 30. To be fair, one of them was like Mon's speech,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still 30 videos. So,
I'll wash my hands.
okay. Andre is here as well. Okay, I guess we'll get credits rolled and then we'll get things started. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you
Let's
good?
start.
All right, so tidy this up. We'll be right back after this short introduction.
Oh yeah! Really right.
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us. We talk about everything and anything random live.
Sorry, I just read Andre's message. And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again.
I figure whenever you read the intro a little differently, then you get thrown off
Yeah.
by your own variation of the opening.
We should record the opening. So yeah, today's a Thursday,
I
and
think we'll
every
play
Thursday,
Okay.
every Thursday we talk about geeky stuff or things that we like or things that we want to talk about. Guess what this one falls under? Today we're talking about a show called Schitt's Creek,
So shady.
and we have a lot to say about the show. Not necessarily experts or anything, just a lot we'd like to share about what we think.
Yeah.
But before that, what is Schitt's Creek?
Are you sure want me to talk about it? No, I'm kidding. Sorry. You need water.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, there. All right. So Schitt's Creek is ultimately became a Canadian television show, created by Dan Levy and his father Eugene Levy. Sorry. I know when I was skimming around, like actually they shopped the show around
Mm-hmm.
to all the major networks, but then none of the U.S. ones would pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only in Canada that it happened on CBC television. It ran for a total of 6 seasons across 80 episodes from 2015 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But it also got a lot of awards, which is also like I think why it eventually blipped on our radar because there was always a lot of people talking about it. And then at the last Emmys, sorry, the 72nd, I don't know if that was the last one. The final season swept all 7 major comedy awards, which
Mhm.
is the first time a show has ever done that.
Yeah.
So that's like a notable achievement. Although it feels kind of like, what's this? It feels kind of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Like they poured all the awards in the last one, but
Mhm.
that works out. And hey, Mitch, yeah. So, how would you describe the show?
I'm not the
So
person.
Toby doesn't want to do this episode. No, okay.
No. I'm not. I'm not. against-
Wikipedia says it's a sitcom, satire, comedy, drama.
Okay, the series was conceptualized when Dan thought about how wealthy families, as frequently depicted on American television, American reality television, would react if they were to lose all their money. And he further developed the series from that idea. And you definitely feel that in the first season where it's a lot of fish out of water type of jokes wherein everyone's still more used to being rich and um, everyone is just a caricature of ultra rich American families.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally did not enjoy the first season. I found it difficult to get into. I it's like if you're watching The Office, but everyone was Michael Scott.
Toby always brings up his Office analogy.
Yeah,
but it's
but-
really good, especially first season Office.
Yeah.
Is rough.
Because Michael Scott was just like them, almost more a caricature than an actual personality. You could sense there was meat in the stories behind them.
Oh, and we have Lolo on YouTube. Hi.
Yes, Lolo, I agree. So season 1 was a struggle. There was that feeling of why am I watching the show when I don't like any of them?
Mm.
And how do they even stand each other if they're this? It's not even dysfunctional. They were just toxic to each other.
Mm-mm.
So
And then it didn't help that the main townsfolk you meet in terms of the mayor and stuff were also like very irritating personalities. So the first season didn't really give you a lot to cling on to the clutch.
the closest you
Was
could,
Stevie.
yes, the closest you could cling on to was Stevie because Stevie felt like your representation in the show. We're in, we're her. We're like wondering what the hell's with all these people, and we're sort of realizing that we're kind of taking care of them.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, I guess for me, I was looking for a reason to find them endearing early on or to find something I could relate with. And I didn't. And many others did, which I guess has reasons.
Lolo on YouTube says it's true. He's glad though it got renewed and evolved. People kept recommending the show, but season one didn't convince me. Haha. So definitely found that. And then, to be fair, so why did we watch it then if we didn't like the first season? Well, we stuck with it because one, it's a sitcom, so it's easier. I
Mhm.
mean, like we've watched some mediocre sitcoms
Mhm.
and just get to the end, and then there was a personal desire to understand why the hell people were
Were
raving about it
yes.
so much.
And there is also the personal reason, which is we almost gave up on Fringe for the same reason.
Yes,
When we first saw Fringe, we were like, "Oh, look, it wants to be X Files."
but like it was flat or
Yeah.
something.
And then as we decided, okay, let's just live it, play it, and just watch it, and just let it see where it'll
and
go.
and Olivia also is like not an easy character to like
Yeah.
in the beginning, but it took us at least 3-4 episodes before like okay, a
This,
little intrigued.
yeah, this has promise, and then at the end of season one, that's when we were like, this show is really good. And Schitt's Creek sorta does that by season two.
No, more like three.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, that's the thing. Um, but I guess we're diving already into the show. Let's talk about the characters of the show.
Okay,
Let's talk
okay.
about each one. So
And you like have many different tabs open.
yeah, just because I'm no expert, and I won't know the names.
Yes.
So let's go to the cast. First, we have Johnny Rose. Johnny Rose is the father figure in the show, played by Eugene Levy. Earlier, Andre was suggesting Levy, I guess. Anyway, so he's the at
He's the
first
patriarch.
at first you think he's the
Straight man?
straight man in the story.
I thought
because
he was gonna be the
was
straight man.
he was sort of level headed. He was sort of, we're losing our money and everyone else is not so. But then you realize it's not that
He's just as out of touch with reality as a lot
Mhm.
of them in many respects. And then more people may remember him as like the dad in American Pie, which
Yes.
is like the main thing people remember him for. And he was like okay, but I'm also not the biggest fan of the American Pie
Mhm.
movies. But he's memorable. But and then there he was sort of the ignorant straight man. I mean, he
Yes.
was not playing to comedy, but he was saying funny things
Mhm.
because parents embarrass their children.
Then
So,
we have Moira, or did I say that right?
yeah, Moira Rose.
Isn't there a better way to say it? Moira? Anyway, Moira Rose, the mother, played by Catherine O'Hara. Brilliant, brilliant way of portraying this character. As okay, really didn't like the characters, but she was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like she's definitely not someone you could root for, especially in the first couple of
Not a
seasons.
protagonist, not
Yeah,
someone you'll see as the main character of a show,
and Noelle's here. Hello,
but she
Noelle.
was definitely fun to watch.
Because it's Catherine O'Hara. So I mean, the lady is funny to begin with, and
Mhm.
her unique interpretation of Moira is so famous. And it's so memorable. The fact that arguably the recent season of Drag Race included the comedy sketch where the one queen was accused of just doing Moira Rose,
Mhm.
which I get, and RJ is here also. Hello. Okay, so and then her main initial feature were lots of wigs,
Yes,
and
lots of
and a
wigs
more extreme level of
and
cluelessness.
seemingly always high.
Yes. Always
High
something
or
on things.
intoxicated or dazed. Then you have the siblings, David and Alexis Rose. Um, so hard to really appreciate them in the first few seasons. Whenever they would be on camera, I would just like hope that we move to the next scene. I'm sorry, it's just, or maybe they just remind me of people I don't like. So that's why I
Maybe that
struggle.
that added another layer of challenge for enjoying the show.
Because Michael Scott in The Office, as annoying as he was,
He didn't. We don't
you
know someone like him
no, yeah,
precisely.
but you also understood he was like that because he wanted attention. He was trying to connect. These two were just annoying.
Very annoying rich children who have had to
Yes,
work.
and it was hard to really appreciate them. But later on, when they grow as characters, oh wow, that was a brilliant transformation. So they were played by Dan Levy, and Annie Murphy. Um, Dan, I keep confusing as another actor.
Which one?
I
He
keep,
doesn't have a lot of work.
I know, but my brain makes me think of Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but
I get what
my
you mean.
brain.
I get what you mean.
So
Because of the eyebrows.
first few episodes, I was like, oh, he acts really good because he's so a different person. And then I checked online.
Because he is a different person. Okay,
I'm
that's
so
hilarious.
sorry, but
That's
that was
hilarious.
me. Annie Murphy, on the other hand, um, known for lesser known things from Beauty and the Beast to Rookie Blue. Um,
Oh wow, and
I'm
she was in Russian Doll. Did not know that. Okay.
yeah. Any other thoughts about their characters?
Well, okay, Noel says that David's face reactions were always priceless, especially when against Stevie's deadpan acting.
Yeah,
So the
but
this
it was the Stevie chemistry that made it work.
yeah.
Because in the first season, um, they don't really share screen time. It was really mostly he's in the background with the parents, or they'd be a scene with Stevie. It was only later on that it was really Stevie now trying to play along with them.
Mm-hmm. And then Alexis was just Alexis.
Yes, Android.
And her first season was the first season arc was just chasing after the guy she initially found hot
Mm-hmm.
and then killing time with the doctor in the meantime,
Mm-hmm.
which it just reinforced that she wasn't a nice person
Mm-hmm.
and didn't really care about people. So yeah, first season Schitt's Creek is just challenging.
So
Okay.
continuing through the cast, Roland Schitt, which is played by Chris Elliott.
Who always plays annoying characters.
Yes.
He's always this annoying character, which is like, and then I feel like they dialed it up to 11 here, because you already have your fish out of water rich people
Mm-hmm.
slumming it in a poor town, but then you have this very obnoxious mayor character who
Mm-hmm.
made it. Okay.
You have Stevie Budd, which is played by Emily Hampshire. I don't recall her from other stuff.
And I'm surprised it says that she was in 12 Monkeys. So it's like, oh my god, who is she in the 12 Monkeys TV series? And what's with Rookie Blue? I guess it's a Canadian thing. Okay. Um.
And then
Um.
you have the other supporting characters, which includes Twyla, um, and Jocelyn, Ronnie, and so on and so forth. Not counting the other leading men. Of special note is Patrick Brewer, who is played by Noah Reid.
Comes in later on, and then
Yes.
Ted, who is Dustin Milligan. Okay. A few things. So Noel also says that Alexis was painful to watch. Sa totoo. And then, but her character development wasn't the best in TV. So it was a lot of it, and I think that's a general agreement. Like when they finally started developing, things were getting better.
Yes.
But I think the initial struggle was like the first two seasons they didn't really
Mm-hmm.
move.
The first two seasons were caricatures of people, because I honestly cannot imagine them functionally working in society the way they were acting.
Mm,
It was almost like at this point they should be fighting each other already. At
mm-mm.
this point, they would have been yelling at each other to leave the room, and not just the way they were doing it in the show. We're in and get out. This is my room. But really, you know, what the hell are you doing here? And slam the door shut. Because if they were really that shallow, then why are they staying together? So it had that feeling. It was only much later that we started to see actual hints of, um, they really cared about him. They just don't know how to show it right, or he's really hoping to do well in this, and he just keeps doing it wrong.
Mm.
And that's when they became more human and they became more relatable. But it really took 2 seasons to get there, and that was, I don't know if that is brilliant writing, or that is, this isn't working, but the show's still running. We have to write something that makes this work.
Yeah, I feel like the first two seasons they were still trying to commit to the celebrities who lost their money kind
Yes.
of feeling. And then so they really kind of doubled down on uh that perspective. And it wasn't until like they finally let some of them relent. And they started with the kids, which was
Mhm.
interesting because it was David and Alexis who started to
Try to
kind of
get jobs
go
or do
outside of
stuff
their
that they
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to do.
Whereas Moira and Johnny took a while,
Mhm.
I think, to to really develop out. Because what was the I can't remember now. What was the end of season 2? Oh, it was the anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay, it was the
The, an-
anniversary.
the, the anniversary surprise party. So, as early as season 1, I was also very confused why, quote unquote, no one was normal.
Ah,
Because
okay.
even the folks of Schitt's Creek itself, um, they weren't necessarily reacting to them the way you think a person would.
Mm, mm,
Because they were really obnoxious and they were really annoying. But it was almost like they were just going along with everyone. And I didn't understand that, which is why Stevie stood out. It
mm.
almost felt like it was going to be a Stevie show at some point.
Because she's the only one who didn't tolerate their crap
Yeah.
and just like
And would either
yeah,
ride with it to see how far it will go.
or just ignore them entirely. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not how it works.
And it almost became a Stevie show for a moment until they started to show feelings as well. Because even Ted, the vet, how can he stand what's going on? How can he find those things cute at first?
Mm-mm,
It was only later on when she was really trying to be helpful that okay, I can see chemistry here.
mm-mm.
So
A few things to the comments.
yeah,
So, just okay. Andrew, of course, asked, "Do you think LGBT representation was good or could it be better?" I mean, it was okay. I mean, it took a while to get to okay.
yes,
In the first, like, and we'll kind of say things over and over again. I guess it's like because the first few seasons they felt like caricatures of people. Then you couldn't really argue it was good representation.
yes. It
I
felt
mean,
very. It felt okay. I'm sorry to use the word, but there's this thing called queer coding, wherein
mm,
the bad guys. Of course, we've now learned that the person who designed them was gay as well. But a lot of the
Disney bad
Disney
guys.
and cartoon villains are queer coded,
Yeah.
meaning they don't act what is heteronormatively expected of them, and thus they're evil. And in many ways, that's what Dan felt like in terms of the show. Dan's character. Sorry, I should use the character's name, not Dan.
David.
That's what David was like in the show. We're in, you know, he doesn't seem to be straight. He's probably somewhere in the
They established somewhere
spectrum.
in later that he's
Yeah.
pansexual.
So
Yeah.
so but then he's so annoying and he's so messy. So there's that feeling of okay, so it's like a queer coded person of, that's how weird he is. It was only much later, I guess you could say when he was balanced out with a better love interest,
Mm,
that you started to see a healthier relationship between them.
okay.
At least that's how I feel.
Okay. Noel says loves how Twyla's story arc was in the end. Although it didn't feel like an arc. It was a good reveal
Mm.
for Twyla
Hmm.
and how things like there was a lot more to her than expected.
Twyla's spoiler shark. Um, Twyla's narrative arc for me felt like our favorite couple
Where
in Hometown Chacha's arc.
okay.
Wherein it's a out of the blue look, this is the reveal about this character. But then it nicely all connects.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I get what you mean. RJ mentions he felt the last season was rushed,
Yes.
and I
Agreed.
get that. I get that sense. Um. Oh, Noel says in regarding the LGBT question that was this the show was never meant to be that show. I think it
Mhm.
was just having representation at that point because Dan Levy was openly gay in real life. Also primarily because a lot of other TV shows already did good LGBT representation, like Modern Family.
Mm.
Ooh, I super agree. Modern Family. Modern Family really handled that, and we got a spam
Mm.
bot. Modern Family really did that well, and then things like One Day at a Time. I love how it depicted like
Yeah, I was about to say one day at a
coming out
time.
coming out in a conservative family in a Latin American family.
One day at a time was brilliant in not just exploring that, but also showing both sides.
Mm.
Like how, the parents arguing about having to understand these terms,
Yes.
the use of the word binary and this and that. And then even the lawless angle. I mean, it was brilliant in being able to show that authentically and yet still be meaningful.
Yeah, so so I don't think it's like the poster child for LGBT representation,
Mm.
but we're happy because it gave a decent kind of love story,
Yes.
and then they get spoilers, but they get together. They get together in the end.
Mhm.
Okay.
I did like that it also showed that one, gay relationships can be messy, and it's not necessarily because there's another person involved.
Yes.
It
Okay, that's
can
true.
it can just be the messiness of learning to communicate or learning to be more open. And it's how do I put it? When you have straight romance stories, they always talk about those things. But then when you have LGBTQIA plus stories,
We're always sex obsessed,
it's
and
always
so we're
sex
always going
obsessed,
to break up.
or someone's dying, or someone's right. It's
We can't
always
get past the
but
dying.
it's always these type of stories. So
Yes.
to have one wherein it was just about, oh, then talk.
Yes.
And they're not talking, and that's it. And that was nice. I like that one.
Mm. Oh, Lolo mentioned so one also loves One Day at a Time and then cried during the quinceañera episode.
Mm.
Oh, that's a good one. That was really
Yeah.
good.
And
That's
then
great
and then
representation.
for friends who know, our anak reminds me of a character in One Day at a Time.
It doesn't take much thought. It doesn't take much thought. Okay, because we also think he's in the Heights, the movie.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Um, Noel says the only thing he didn't like was knowing Patrick was a cis man in real life, and then I get that because and then he literally played, pardon the term, but the straight acting gay or the
Mm.
discreet gay, but he's that kind of a guy, which is not bad in itself. It's just when it's an aspirational model, then that's the problem, or if it's a type.
I personally didn't mind because his story was finding himself.
Yeah.
So not that you can't find a gay actor to do that, but I felt in some ways it was more authentic for him to go through that role.
Mm. Oh, I like the sorry, and then Lola also mentioned that Dustin Milligan was in Celebrity Drag Race. That would explain a lot because when we watched Celebrity Drag Race, we had no idea who like majority of the contestants were. It's like who are these celebrities? Why do we not know any of them? So that's fine. Okay. All right. So I was, and then we were talking to another friend about this before this episode started streaming. Another show I end up comparing to is BoJack Horseman,
Yes.
in the sense that BoJack is a very unlikable character,
Mhm.
and at the beginning of the series, I mean, and at least that first season, I'll admit, the first season of the show, BoJack was in. There's an episode we did about how I categorize TV that we watch together versus TV that we watch
Mhm.
individually. BoJack was something I only watched on my own initially because I felt like I was just curious about it. I needed something to play in the background.
Mhm.
I didn't want to bother Toby. And the first season felt that way, like
Mhm.
this is not worth bothering Toby about. But later on, the dysfunction became a very integral part of the character journey because
Mhm.
it really depicted the fact that he is struggling with a lot of substance abuse,
Mhm.
alcoholism, and whatever, and thus it makes him a very crappy person. And him learning to deal with that was his arc of
Mhm.
the whole show. And had I given up on the first season, I wouldn't have gotten to the end. And I super, super, super love BoJack Horseman. Or on a similar note, things like Crazy Ex Girlfriend, where
Yes, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Crazy Ex Girlfriend, the first season, as much as we love the songs and it's just funny on its own, but our protagonist arc is disturbing.
Yeah,
She literally is crazy.
and you do feel she's really toxic.
Yeah, toxic and manipulative.
And it's and it catches you off guard when they acknowledge it in the show, and they suddenly show her struggling to get through that and do better.
Yeah. So and again, like was this? Although to be fair, was this Crazy Ex Girlfriend is a lot easier to get into. I mean, because it's funny, it had musical numbers,
Mhm.
so that those trappings kind of work you through. But then it wasn't until later seasons that, oh gosh, there's a more serious angle to all
Yes.
this, and it totally makes sense. And then a lot of the zaniness of the first season gets recontextualized later on.
Yes.
So that was sort of like my mindset in trying to appreciate Schitt's Creek, and like I'm gonna wait for this to turn. I'm
Mhm.
trying to wait for this to happen. It just took a while for us to do
Mhm.
that. Okay.
More comments?
Yeah, Mitch is over on YouTube now, and yeah, so she mentioned that this is on her list. It hasn't the Earth to watch, and I think what's this? We when we tell friends now about it, it's always like the first few seasons are hard to get into, but the ending is worth seeing.
Yes.
So it is
Yeah,
a nice
we literally
arc
just
to
spoke
end.
to a friend
Yeah.
who started and stopped and doesn't know if they'll continue. And we're like, no, 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 the ending's worth it.
Okay.
Of course, more praise for Patrick. Mention of Moira having a vocabulary.
Which is like because
Okay,
she is that character. She's a
let's
memeable character.
so let's talk about that. That is brilliant writing to build a fan base around.
And it's very social media friendly.
Mm.
So there are a lot of like Moira reaction gifs out there, right? So that works, and that's I feel like it's essential now. And then even if you look at what Netflix, so Netflix answer to TikTok are those weird comedic shorts,
Mhm.
which are clips of different shows, but typically comedies that are like, so you can rush to the funny bits,
Mhm.
and then it will help you get a taste of different things and why they're funny,
Mhm.
and it just relates to our desire for short form, super short form content to digest things. And a lot of Moira's antics fit that. Like they're just these one off things that are ridiculous.
Mhm.
They're not things you would say in real life, but they're funny as heck because that's how you assume crazy rich people would react in the situation.
Mhm.
So that works.
But at the same time, I loved her eventual movie career, her
Mm,
eventual acting career,
yeah, in the show.
because
Okay.
as um as B movie as it was, you could see the pride behind it, and you could see the talent shining through. After all, I mean, she's always portrayed in this comical way of how she presents herself and how she's so big in her mind, but everyone else can see her in such a way.
Yeah.
But then during that acting moment, she just she grew. She was like,
Mm.
that's a star moment there. As crappy as the movie was, that was a star moment, and that was nice to see because it's hard to transcend the personality of the character when it's so big already in a show.
Yeah, I appreciate that whether or not she was always a good actress in the
Mhm.
show per se, but she took her craft seriously,
Mhm.
and then you can see that how she applied herself to that very crazy movie,
And
which is good
and
stuff.
if you really study it, you could see she was almost there with the commercial,
Mm,
but she
mm,
got
mm.
frazzled, and then voila, she lost and she
And
couldn't
then
find it
and she
again.
leaned on like just being super drunk again.
Yeah,
So that's
so
her.
it's interesting in that way.
Mitch agrees for Crazy X that after season one she's really crazy, and they stopped watching episode three. So I would Crazy Ex Girlfriend has a good arc. It's
Mhm.
it's it's good, but it's difficult in the same way that BoJack Horseman also is good, but it's
Mhm.
difficult because um more perhaps more BoJack than Crazy Ex. BoJack really is like, do you want to get an oddly accurate depiction of the impacts of substance abuse and other trauma on a
Mhm.
person, then you watch BoJack Horseman, and then you go through his entire season. It's also six season arc, and
Mhm. You see his journey
it's his journey, and it's heavy,
and
and
how it affects the people around him and all
yeah,
that.
and it's funny because it's using anthropomorphic
Mhm.
animal whatever
Crazy
people.
X naman nicely tries to show this is what the person's going through in her head as she
Mm,
tries to deal with it.
mm, mm.
And it does it with some comical moments, but you could see how deep it goes.
Okay, there's a lot of love for Patrick in the Facebook comments, and
Mhm.
then they do highlight that was this you never actually see David. Was this you don't really see major like sex scenes, shirtless
Mhm.
scenes too much, except for like other. It's that's more. It's more the straight people who keep losing their
Mhm.
clothes. Okay.
Mhm.
Um. Um. Okay. Andrea's hoping to do the wine thing. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, and
We're
then
not that kind of
we're
fans.
not that kind of fans.
But you're free to do so and post it
Yeah,
on
you can
and
do it.
Twitter.
You can or post it on TikTok. That's very
Mhm.
TikTok stuff. Noel says Patrick is his Mike Hannigan, Phoebe's husband friends. Okay.
Mm.
Which right for Paul Rudd was like a very underwhelming role for him. But
Yes.
anyway, um,
Um, Concerning Alexis's romances.
okay,
So,
I okay again first season super toxic, didn't like it,
mm,
and then I think I was genuinely surprised later on. Okay, no, there's the when she breaks up with Ted, and then stuff happens, and then doesn't immediately go back to Ted, and then
mm,
that I think that surprised me when like, oh, she's not just going to like have
mhm.
another guy, and then she tried to legit work with
Yeah,
Ted.
that's the thing. There was that.
That was like I think that was like the first turning point for that character, and like,
You could see
oh
some level of growth.
yeah, yeah, and she's legit trying to apply herself, and now that she's really appreciating having a job, wanting to
And
finish
on a
school.
related angle,
Well, high
that's
school.
also where you see them first affect the people around them. Because
Yes.
Stevie was already reacting to them early on,
Yes.
but everyone else felt like um, we're support of the show, so no matter how wacky you get, we'll just shrug it off.
And because we all have our assigned wackiness to play off their
Yeah,
wackiness,
then no,
then we
nothing
just nothing
changes.
nothing will change.
But then
yes.
when Ted started to also, now he's thinking of trying to work out, then he's thinking of trying to do this and that, and there's all these little things he's doing. So you start to feel more for them as people, and
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and so her arc ultimately was like definitely one of the better ones.
But then you had the other guy, that was Mutt, right?
Yeah,
The one
Lola
with the
mentions
beard.
he was surprised that Mutt's storyline was not fleshed out.
Now the Mutt storyline, for me was so weird in the sense that, so at the start we're kind of portraying him as, a sex symbol, the beard and all this and that.
Yes.
We have the off joke about how it disappears when he has no beard, but then it's like they just gave up on the character.
Yeah, it's like they didn't know what to do with him after Alexis got with Ted,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was the marriage proposal early on that
Mm.
didn't quite go
And
anywhere.
and I feel bad about that
and then Mutt
because
was just there.
he could have still been in the scene as stories.
Or like a more interesting member of the town.
Yes,
Like-
especially since um the connection with what's her name, where
Alexis.
the when no no the when they were doing cheese and stuff already,
Okay.
that was later part of the business. um I guess there was just opportunity to have more personality compared to like the growth of David's boss.
Oh, the first boss at the clothing store.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
yeah.
had a full character arc development, and
Yes.
that one I like.
Yes. Lola does mention, yeah, Mutt reappeared when Baby Bro was born and then disappeared again.
So it was like, big show. Okay, you're back in the cast, and then okay, we don't need you again. Which totally made Matt Tuloy only had a reason to be there to mess up or to add to Alexis' story.
Mm-mm.
Had no major other role in the story, so that was kind of sad.
Yeah, that was just a little weird.
Mhm.
And then like of the different people have to help us, like the ladies in town.
Yeah, so Ronnie and then Jocelyn.
Oh, Jocelyn.
So
Okay.
Jocelyn, again, my brain says, "Oh, Jocelyn is like the best friend in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend."
Okay, so different
No, but I don't mean they look alike. I mean same
personality.
same writing, same archetype.
No,
of
I
story.
feel like with this Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, at least she had more conviction and she was more, I get things done.
Mm,
Whereas Jocelyn was just like, in the beginning, seemed very flighty
mm.
and disconnected from reality. And plus, she was married to Roland. So it's like, what are these choices, Jocelyn?
I was happy though that they did have a chemistry. As
The
odd,
two,
as
yes.
odd a couple they were, you could see there's something between them that makes them work, and I like that. It wasn't a TV couple we're in. I don't get why they're together.
And there are a lot of those,
Mm-hmm.
or at least for us, because we can be very judgy of TV couples.
Aina shares Moira. Oh my god, hilarious! She sounds like Drew Barrymore, but cookier. I love her so much.
Well, because again, Catherine Herrera. So she's funny on her own, and then she's super committed to this. This is how I'm going to do this character, and it worked out.
What was your favorite Moira story arc? Because mine will definitely be the movie.
Okay.
But not counting the movie, it would be the internet and her porn photos.
Okay. When she was just mad that these things are on the internet,
And she was mad that she couldn't find them.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that
That
one.
was a good character moment. Were there sad moments in the show? Andre asked. Define sad. Sad that we didn't like it, because there are a lot of things we didn't like in the early part
Or
of the
sad
show.
meaning we felt for the character. Sad.
Yeah, because I think Alexis's arc has a lot of bittersweet moments, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
When and again, spoilers. When it seems like she's in a good place with her relationship later on, and then
Yes.
things force them apart, and then they
Yes.
have to work long distance, and
Mm.
that is hard. Long distance is hard for anyone, and the fact that she tried to stick to it and then stick to her career.
Mm.
Yeah, that I felt that pain. And then what else? Um, I mean, speaking of Jocelyn, actually, when you examine her arc, she has some very struggle because ultimately she is, you know, she's a mother who's had to gone through several kids, and then
She felt
is
like life's past her already.
yes, because she had to deal with children. So I get that tone to
Mm.
her portrayal.
Mm.
Most of the others, I don't know, not so much.
I feel sad Stevie kind of got lost in the shuffle. And
Yes.
near the end of the show with the theater angle, that was an interesting, powerful shift in direction.
Mm-mm.
But it also felt very left field.
Well, I feel like Stevie's arc or Stevie's role in the show got a little muddy when Johnny started helping at the motel. And again, sorry, spoilers. But because they tied Johnny's story to Stevie's story, then of course he's such a large character, and Stevie by design was struggling to put herself forward.
Mm.
Then it made it harder for her to have moments, to have as many moments. So in the end, it's always her reacting to orders from Johnny or reacting to David's
Yeah.
latest drama.
And she kind of just suddenly lost all her friends. I mean, in the earlier seasons, she could pull people over because she knew people in
She was still
town.
attending parties on
Yeah.
her own.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so in the later part, it
She got
was
super tied to the roses.
yeah, and it was almost like she had no life outside the roses. And then the theater angle almost felt like we can show you that you can grow in this direction as far as the story is concerned. But I was like thinking, but she already had stuff to do. I like that she suddenly had dreams of trying to do something more.
Mm-mm.
But I didn't feel it had to look like because before she had nothing.
Mm-mm. Mm. Okay. Andre says, doesn't know why he felt sad when David learned that Patrick had a fiance. I don't know if that was a sad moment. It was a complication.
I think it was a sad moment because it ruined what almost felt like a perfect moment. That
or a perfect romance
yeah,
that they're just gonna get together.
but at the same time, for me, I expected it, to be honest.
Well, that's Toby being, the rom com scientist who like tries to reverse engineer
Yeah,
K dramas for me.
yeah, because I kind of did read early on that it was going to be a discovery story arc for him, and discovery story arcs always mean there has to be a previous love interest.
Mm.
I just love the fact that the previous love interest ended up having lunch with them.
Yes.
So that was a fun way to bring that all together. Um, but yeah, I kind of anticipated it.
Okay. Andre says Patrick serenading David in the apothecary. Again, that doesn't feel sad. It's emotional for me. I mean, isn't it more of like an awe moment than a sad moment? I don't know. That's because that was meant to be romantic,
Mhm.
right? Okay. Um,
I feel bad that I did not realize that the song was a Tina Turner song.
oh.
It was much later when I was trying. I wonder what that song was. I tried looking for the lyrics.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sorry, that's me.
It's okay.
I actually thought he sang an original song.
Then it's like, should we rewatch that episode in the Orville where they were like quoting Dolly Parton? You realize that's a song too, right? What?
Wait, 9 to 5? Yes, I know 9 to 5.
Okay, but did you realize that was the reference in
Yes, 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 yes,
Orville?
yes,
Okay,
I
okay,
got
okay. You're
No, no.
scaring me. You're
Yeah,
scaring
yeah.
me. Okay.
I
No.
thought there was a serenade also.
Okay.
But yeah.
Again, Noel said it felt very romantic. Andre, not sad but sweet. Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm confused.
the chat was
Because-
talking about sad, so
Yeah,
we
your
thought-
earlier question was sad, so that's why we were like viewing everything that
Lolo
lens.
mentions Mariah Carey is one of my OG divas. I
Love that you got love that she got love on the show. Okay,
Mhm.
and then SAG was a scene where Stevie and David were looking at the house, and David was contemplating about him staying.
yeah, that was a strong scene.
Mm, mm, mm.
That was a strong scene.
Again, the last season has a lot of. I mean,
Good. They had lots of good
it
moments.
definitely was focused on we're gonna wrap up, and then we're gonna dump a bunch of emotional bombs, which is fine.
Mhm.
Okay, then Andrew wondered if they still keep a tab in the cafe. I'm sure at some point they had to settle it. But that's just me, especially if they started getting money anyway. Okay, okay.
And then I'm mixing up memories now because for a brief moment I was thinking, yeah, there was the trouble with the wedding. Was it because of the snow? No, that's France. It rained, and then the
It rained.
massage, and then yeah. See, but I'm lumping together patterns in scripting. Um, what else? What else? What else?
On a side note, I guess kind of going through character arcs. Then I wanted more for Ted.
Mm,
In the sense that so he was super crazy for Alexis in the beginning, and then he kind of learns not to be,
mhm,
sort of. Um, and then eventually they get together. But I didn't. I don't know. I feel like we were missing steps, or like we didn't
mm,
see certain aspects of his development. How did he move from uh his dejection after the first season, and
mhm,
and he went. They kept comedically. They just kept making reference to the fact that he made the most of the honeymoon trip, and
mhm,
then and tried to find himself, and
mhm.
then just tries to push forward. But I don't know. I get it, but there was just like a bit of a jump for me, which I felt like could have been fleshed out a bit more. Okay. All right. Trivia.
So some trivia that's listed. Wait here.
We're going through IMDb as
Yeah.
usual.
So Annie Murphy.
I think that's is that Alexis?
Yeah.
Yes.
So after her house burned down, she had $3 left in her bank account. She considered quitting acting. Then she got the audition for Schitt's Creek.
So that kind of turned around.
So
Okay.
we have this one, the record for the most Emmy wins.
But yeah, winning all the comedy awards in a single
Um,
Emmy season. Emmy cycle, whatever.
and then we have the three who are real life son and daughter, Twyla, David, and Johnny. Um, these are also mostly about the characters and not about the show.
Mm.
The motel that the Rose family lives in is located in Orangeville, Ontario, where Bob's Garage, the Tropical Diner, and the General Store are located in Godwood, Ontario. All can be found at the same
Intersection.
intersection.
Okay, that's cute. But that's TV magic for you, where it's
Mm.
not really like a single location. But because it's Canada, it's always cheaper to shoot on location than in a studio, but or
In
something
the
like that.
show's unaired pilot, the role of Alexis Rose was originally played by Abby Elliott, daughter of the comedian Chris Elliott, who plays Roland Schmidt. Shit. Unfortunately, she was unavailable when the show was picked up. Ooh,
Oh, that's close.
I can only imagine how she'll always remember this as a if only I was available.
But we're gonna assume she had something else.
I love this. Catherine O'Hara's character Moira Rose frequently wears black and white stripes as a nod to her role as Delia Dietz in Beetlejuice.
Mm-mm.
The production designer for Beetlejuice was Bo
Welch.
Welch. Um, and during the Beetlejuice shoot, they started dating. They have some okay, that's interesting. The ponytail mullet hairpiece worn by Chris Elliott as Mayor Schitt has a history. Wore the top part of the same hairpiece as Cabin Boy.
Again, a movie I didn't like.
Throughout the series, the wigs have different women's names: Krista, Robin, Maureen, Lorna, and Cindy. During an interview with Variety, Catherine O'Hara says that if it falls on her to name the wigs, she uses friends' names.
Oh, that's cute.
She was the one who asked if her character could wear and change wigs often, inspired by a dinner party she once went to, where, for no explanation, the hostess would excuse herself and return wearing a different wig.
Oh, there are people like that. There are
I
people, yeah.
know I had a friend who would change outfits through the
Ah,
night.
okay. And we've had friends with hair who wear wigs,
Hmm. But
and
it
like
was
we didn't quite get why.
But it was, party, hi, hellos, blah, blah, blah. And then during the night, it disappears, then comes back. Oh, different outfit. Nice.
Which feels
nice."
very like traditional,
And
like
this was
I don't
and
know,
this was prior to cell phones having phones, right? And then a few minutes
cell
later,
phones having phones.
let's have dinner. Okay, everyone goes to eat. Oh, where's ano? Then comes back. Ah, different outfit.
But I feel like that's a callback to like very classic like
Mm.
uh dare I say things like Southern American, like the whole Southern Belle situation, where you would possibly have multiple outfits in the course of the night,
or
high class whatever.
yeah, we're in what you wear for dinner is different from what you wear for tea.
Oh, again, which is like very Downton Abbey, right? It's
Yes.
like, ooh, are you in your dinner jacket, which is literally only for dinner. Okay, things like that.
And then what else? Um,
We're just double checking
yeah,
the
just
list.
double checking if there's anything of interesting. Yeah, well, that's expected. The name, of course, there was a lot of pushback against the title at first being a word that sounds like a bad word, but then they pushed for it and showed the Yellow Pages book showing how many people have that last name.
Okay. Okay.
Um, According to Schitt's Creek, Rooms by the R, David was born over 2 months premature. Moira claims that she carried him for nearly 7 months.
Does this explain anything of his character?
And then, yeah, we're back to a bit. Okay, let's look at spoilers. So Dan Levy kept David's 4 gold engagement rings, even wearing them to the Emmy Awards. Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
The pink dress that Alexis pulls from the bag in the last episode is what she's wearing the first time we saw her in the first episode. I did not notice that.
Mm.
Um, in December 2019, a couple got engaged at a recreation of Rose Apothecary at Schitt's Creek pop-up event, citing David and Patrick's relationship as the one that inspired their own.
Okay. Okay. Good for them.
In the finale, the Jazzagals sing 2 songs. Both are callbacks to earlier episodes, Precious Love and Simply the Best. Skirted tuxedo wore the same outfit to the Emmy Awards. Um, Jocelyn is only 5 years older than Mutt, who she plays as the mother.
Okay.
Yeah. And then here, premise of the show, particularly the first season, owes a debt to Gilligan's Island, which also features a band of entitled persons trapped in an environment they could not escape. Like the castaways, the Rose family struggles to invent routes for departure that never come to pass. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting angle.
Oh, what was that family? That's something I'm like thinking about Gilligan's Island. Yeah, because there was the millionaire and his wife. Sorry, that's from the intro, right? And the movie star, the professor, and Mary, and I'm gone. Here on Gilligan's Isle. Okay,
I'm not gonna sing.
the characters was the Howells. Yeah, yeah. It was Thurston Howell the third. Okay, okay, okay. I watched a lot of Gilligan growing up because it was the American thing to do. Okay. Okay.
I also have to say I love the cabaret, the way they did.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
is nice seeing that production.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
a glimpse that there is actual talent, and you know, Rose isn't just um, wealthy and famous because she was tied to someone with money. She did have talent, and it was showing there.
Okay. So I think we're running out of things to say. So last thoughts, I guess.
Do you think the show needed one more season?
I what's this? I know I understand from a fan perspective people would want another season. But I also understand creators who decide that let's cut our losses and end on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it got an ending because even for things like I super love Modern Family, but it kind of meandered in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But it still had a very powerful ending.
Yeah, near the end of Modern Family, um, they weren't um, as tight in terms of the script
Mm,
as they were in the earlier episodes.
yes.
Wherein, because Modern Family had this.
There's
Mo-
setup.
Yes, Modern Family was like a magic trick.
Yes.
Wherein there's all the setups at first, and then there's the prestige where you think it's gonna go, but then they trick you with this is what it's really gonna be about, and they connect everything together.
Yeah.
And it was so good at doing
And they
that.
do it that episode after episode after episode. It's super like
But they do it so well that
Yeah.
you don't realize it until oh my god, and then they do it.
you don't notice the setup
Mm-mm.
until you get to the reveal. Which
the,
I love.
In the later episodes, though, you could so read it
Yes.
that oh, because they're gonna connect it later, and that just tells you that it lasted a bit longer than it should have.
It became a little formulaic.
I
And-
feel though that the show could have had a few more episodes.
or maybe it needed like more regular Christmas specials. Like they did the one-off Christmas thing,
Mhm.
right? But then it wasn't a regular part of the show, and I felt like maybe they could have done that. It needed a few more in betweeners
Mhm.
that weren't like part of the rush of the main season. I mean, hey, I've come to appreciate the value of the Christmas special because of British television.
Mhm.
In Doctor Who, it normally means what's this? Super side adventures with interesting characters. In Downton Abbey, it means someone's gonna die. But why does someone die in Christmas? Okay. Yeah.
Andre shares.
Sorry for it. So RJ mentions every episode he looks forward to Alexis' celebrity story. Actually, I felt like she should have been doing more celebrity name dropping in the beginning because it was a regular comedic thing toward the end, which I
Yes.
felt like should have happened more. And we've seen it
Yes.
done in many shows, but didn't happen as much. Andre mentions closure, and then I'll skip over that one. There's a specific plot points.
Mhm.
Um, I'm sorry, Mitch. I need to read Mitch. So there
These
are
are Modern Family episodes. These are not Schitt's Creek.
yeah. So agrees on the ending of Modern Family. And then there are great
Yes.
awaking episode. Great something every especially the one with Alex going berserk due to stress. I can relate.
Mhm.
Okay, and we haven't done Modern Family, so yeah, we can think about doing Modern Family. Haven't watched Arrested Development.
Yeah, haven't seen it.
It's
either.
another one of those shows that I don't know if I could get into the premise because again, they look very toxic also to one another. But I understand it's like a well recognized show, and it's always weird. There's a lot of shows like this where there are these toxic personalities that we will eventually appreciate because they're funny.
Or at least when we have a better understanding, we sort of see it. I mean, it's the same again. Sorry, The Office. It's the same as The Office. How you have people who don't like The Office because Jim's cruel.
Mm-mm.
Jim plays pranks on his office mates and treats his boss like, he makes his boss think he's a best friend. So it's a perspective to view it.
Yes.
But then if you view Jim as the protagonist, you realize this is his way of coping with these type of people.
Yes.
So it's really a matter of how you see it. And in our case, that could explain why we couldn't relate to Schitt's Creek at first because we could think of the people we didn't like who were like them. But then you could see the perspective of others who might connect with it quickly, not because they're like them, but they sort of understand the struggles and how they might do similar ways to deal with the stress.
Maybe.
Um, I would have wanted a few more episodes, um, just because. Well, the ending was great. Having the parents drive off and the sign, I keep that as the main ending. But
Mhm.
like, there should have been a few episodes in between.
After the wedding.
yeah, where we kind of get a bit more of what. Um, see, now I can't remember their names. Um, what Stevie was going to do. Uh, a better, I guess, idea of what the neighbors are now going to do now that they're leaving. In the sense of, the neighbors have grown to love them, and
Mm-mm.
it could have been a plot point of interest. I wanted another Jocelyn moment
Mm.
because I felt she was,
She was going somewhere.
and
She
then we,
needed
and then we saddled her with the kid, and
yeah.
suddenly that was only the thing we're hearing about.
Mm.
Um, so that I felt like maybe one or two more episodes.
Yeah, and then like because that last season you really feel we're gonna cram all these plot points together and then contrive reasons. So like, why did the wedding have to be so soon? Because this.
Yeah,
And then immediately leaving because this happened and this happened and this happened. So it was the plot threatened to kind of steamroll a lot of the
Yeah.
character growth.
it's like she's doing well, and then suddenly out of nowhere, old friends show up,
Mm.
and then suddenly it's this big offer, and they don't like each other, but the offer is there. So, but it did feel like, oh, let's do this so we can say this plot point. Let's do this so we can say, rather than it felt more organic.
Mm-mm.
And then what I guess to close for me is, um, I would have wanted the show to touch on some of the quirky things some shows do when they've gained an audience. Um, a,
The more
mus-
concept
a
episodes.
musical episode, a bottle episode,
Mm.
a alternate an alternate universe episode. You know, those sort of things.
So things like if you look at the span of Community, where there are so many high concept, or even things like BoJack Horseman did like the episode with no dialogue. Like,
Mm.
oh crap! It's like that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Or the musical episode for Buffy, wherein they all
Yeah.
had to sing, and stuff like that. So
Like take advantage of the fact that you're already in your fifth, sixth season. You get to have a little fun.
we could have had a single episode, and it's all about Mutt, and we kind of get why he disappears. Maybe he's been avoiding the family in all these scenes.
Yeah.
We could have had an episode devoted to one of the animals in the veterinarian shop, and we
That'd be
just see
funny.
everything from that animal's perspective. Diba? It had that potential, na, so I kind of feel bad.
That they didn't quite push
Yeah.
further. I get that. Okay. This one I'm gonna say then. No, that was a good idea. Yeah, I think that's it. And then there's no other.
I
comments
hope
to
the show
address.
doesn't come back. And to explain, I don't want an animated version.
Ah,
I don't want
okay.
a movie. I think it's
Because
fine
they
where it
already.
is.
They mean it technically they wrapped up the plot points. They put the characters in nice places.
and they
they're
wrapped
not-
it up with them moving on.
Yeah, and then they're not going to necessarily be successful. We know they're going to struggle through
And that's not
the next
that's
steps.
not what's important. What's
Oh.
important is they found the stories they now want to build.
Mm-mm.
So if we like have a movie where they all meet up again, parang,
Okay. And okay, I remember now. The last thing I want to talk about is that so given the moniker that a lot of people or critics would say it's like one of the best sitcoms ever, though, I didn't feel that way.
I'm not in that boat.
I don't
either.
feel that it's the best. I mean, like it's not like when we first got through Parks and Recreation.
Mm,
I mean, we love the U.S. version of The Office, but it wobbled at the end.
mm.
It wobbled like when they started losing characters. Michael Scott steps away. It just got weird.
Yeah, and you had other Jim,
Mm,
variant Jim.
but Parks and Recreation.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, I love the full arc of Parks and Recreation. Maybe it could have been a season shorter, but no, but it just kept giving. It just kept giving, and Leslie Knope's progression in terms of her responsibilities with the park, and to later on trying to aim for higher positions of office.
Mm.
It's such a good show, and that's like those are things I really rave about. And then things like Community really was like every week it gave something surprising and high concept.
It broke what you were expecting and did something new.
Yeah, it was a sitcom, but it didn't do the sitcom tropes where
Mm.
and then later on every episode was a concept,
Yeah.
and it's like which like part of Rick and Morty had, but then it's not as strong in recent seasons.
Yeah.
But so when I think like best comedies of all time, then I think shows like that.
But I
And-
think that just shows that this is hitting what the zeitgeist now is looking for.
maybe
You know, we're not the target generation. We're past it now. We're the older generation. So the target generation, which is the younger crowd, which they want to hit for the ratings.
which makes sense because then the growth was centered around David and Alexis.
because
I guess.
also we don't get the younger crowd so much anymore. We kind of like, what? Why do they love doing this? Why do they love? And
hence shows I rave the most about now are like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is amazing
Mhm.
and good grief, you should watch
brilliant
it.
writing, incredible cinematography, color theory examples galore, and
And it's just pretty.
and no one gives it as much praise because I guess people just don't get it. And
It's like that, or even things like, well, I don't know about. Okay, that's not a but it's just Mrs. Maisel is definitely one of my favorites. Like, in terms of like best comedies
like
ever,
in a similar
or
trend,
Fleabag,
in a
I
similar
guess.
Fleabag is
But it's an acquired taste also.
Fleabag was it's hard to love her
Yes.
until you get to know her.
Yes.
And then once you get to know her, it's so sad you're gonna say goodbye.
yes.
So that was brilliant writing. That ended at the right moment it had to end. In terms of a different genre but similar themes of frustration of people not getting it, Legion
Mm.
is such a brilliant superhero series. but no one will get it as a superhero series
because it goes again high concept and and
Because-
not playing to the tropes of the
because they
superhero
think
genre.
Invincible is awesome.
Go back to Invincible.
Where's the new ground?
What is that sound?
Anyway, yeah, I'm that old annoyed geek guy now.
No, you always were, especially for superhero stuff. That's why you didn't like Heroes when it first came out. It's the same. It's the same thing, and hence you not liking Invincible. It's the same. It's the same
Heroes-
energy.
Oracular Painter. You want me to show how many other shows had that and comics had that?
Okay.
Anyway, yeah,
So yeah. So I mean, Shit Creek still it's a good show.
I don't want it to come back.
I that's gonna be Toby's
No,
closing line.
yeah, no need for a movie. Please don't. The ending was perfect the way it is with that last shot of the billboard.
Mm-mm.
Brilliant way to end it.
And then again, a good show. I don't think was the best ever. But I respect where it went.
Yes, Ethan, that Legion.
Legion that was in the X-Men universe without being directly in the X-Men universe.
And let's have our own fashion sense. Diba? The hell with the world, and it works. It felt like a comic book in the sense that you had an artist just drawing the way he wants.
And if you've looked at a lot of Legion comics, they also felt that way. Like
Mhm.
I'm just gonna be super messy, more impressionist
Mhm.
paneling and
Because as
whatnot.
beautiful as Daredevil and all the rest were, you could see that they're trying to ground it on reality because we wanted to make it's a real world. Legion was the hell with that. I want to explore psychoses and all these other concepts of the mind, of illusion, of this and that, and reality in a comic based material. But at the same time, let's go psychedelic because why not? And then let's have a narrator who talks to us who we don't know who it is. So, oh my gosh.
Which is like the closest we've gotten to was maybe the first season of Doom Patrol,
Mm.
which they came out on around a similar period, which made it harder to appreciate. But season one Doom Patrol is amazing. The later
Mm.
ones are still good, but season one Doom Patrol was
Yes.
fantastic. But again, totally unrelated.
So, last
Sorry.
thoughts on Schitt's Creek. I've shared mine.
You already okay? You want to say
Don't
it again?
come back. And that's with love. It's already good as it is.
Yeah, and then me, it's like I think it's something that people it's worth watching once, at least once. At least it's on Netflix for now. Then it makes it a lot more accessible. It took a while actually before it got legally to Philippine Netflix, even though it was already on
Mm.
U.S. Netflix. So I'm glad that it did come here eventually, and it's good for a full run through. And the the episode length plus the length of the seasons actually makes it pretty easy to get through quickly versus some of the other stuff. I mean, all due respect to Friends, but that's a lot of episodes to get through to get all of Friends. So yeah, it's something that you can just dive into, and then you'll understand how many people now are trying to imitate Moira Rose.
Badly.
And that's the only reason why we wear stripes, because it's like we were trying to like color block
The closest we can find something to wear that was sort of
shit
Thinking of the
creaky
show.
because the Rose. I mean, because between her and David, which I loved over the course of time, is that her and David typically just wore white and black, and any other color was like a surprise. Okay, all right, that's our discussion.
So there's a request to cover Modern Family. We'll see about doing that soon.
But as always, for questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. You can continue the conversation. Follow us on Twitter. All Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know, what were your favorite moments in Schitt's Creek, or what are things also that really made you wonder, and what was Mutt doing all that time. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone. Stay safe.